Alrighty. So, getting back on the stream. Welcome everybody back. Hold on, I'm still getting my live chat up. Here we go. Live now. No, I don't want whole video. I want to see what's going on right now. Sorry folks, I'm having some trouble getting onto my live chat, so just give me a little longer. There we go. Looks like we're up. Okay, so welcome back to the Chapter 10 lecture. I'm going to start talking about campaigns and elections. We're going to talk about what is unique and what's not unique about American elections. We'll talk about how democratic American elections really are. We'll talk about the influence of money in politics, which is enormous. We'll talk about presidential and congressional campaigns, including the keys to a successful campaign for Congress. So if I have any aspiring politicians out there who'd like to run for office, we're going to talk about what it takes to run for office. And then we're going to consider reforms to our election system, including things like publicly financed elections or ranked choice voting. All right, looks like I got 7 folks out there. If you're out there, say hi. So let's talk about how democratic are American elections. So we have... Oh, go ahead, Kimberly. You have a question? I'm going to hold for a second. Somebody in chat's got a question for me. Hi, Daniela. Hey, Terius. Well, sorry, were you going to ask your question, Kimberly? Hi, Angela. What do I do if I can only attend Thursday morning live session because I'm not available Monday mornings? Well, then you can listen to the Monday sessions on recordings. Recordings will be available of all of these live sessions. So if you can't attend while I'm live streaming, you can absolutely attend. You can absolutely watch recorded sessions afterwards. So those links will be up shortly after the live stream concludes. Moving on. American elections. How democratic are American elections? Well, so state governments control the time, place, and manner of elections. Elections are most entirely a state responsibility. And so state governments are allowed to choose how their elections take place, when those elections take place, and what requirements people have to jump through in order to get registered. We've talked about registration barriers to voting registration a little bit before. Also discussed, so attendance, that is actually a really good point that Kimberly raised in the chat here. Attendance is going to be taken on Canvas. So just make sure that you log into Canvas at least once a week, and then you will get your full attendance points. So if you log into Canvas once a week, I can see that, and you will get attendance points from me. So that is how we're handling attendance during this crisis. But anyway, so how democratic are our elections? We have frequent and fixed elections more often than other democracies. We have parliament because I think I've mentioned before that parliamentary democracies, they don't have fixed elections. They call elections when Parliament loses the confidence of the people. How they determine that is a difficult uh, process and is different depending on the country. But in parliamentary systems, they don't have fixed elections. They just call an election, and then there's an election like a month and a half later. And personally, I love the idea of campaign season being only a month and a half long. That sounds great, but we are not so lucky, right? We have fixed elections, and we have fixed and frequent elections, right? Talked before about how when you look at national, state, and local elections, and when you look at general elections and primaries and special elections, there is probably a voting booth set up for you in your town every 6 months at least, right? So we vote a lot. One result of voting a lot is that we have over 500,000 elected officials in this country, from president all the way down to the Moapa Valley Television Maintenance District, which is not a thing that I made up. It's actually a real thing. In 39 states, including our own fair Silver State, elect the members of the judiciary as well. And so we're going to take a look just for a second at all of the federal representatives for CSN Charleston campus, right? Fortunately, I live close enough to CSN Charleston campus that I'm in the same voting precinct. And so I can just look up my voting information here on Clark County Elections site, which, by the way, if you want to do that, you go here to the Clark County Election Department, and you click here to log in to Registered Voter Services, and that will allow you to look up your sample ballot, look up who your candidates for office are, who your current members or elected officials are. So if you want to look up who represents you, that is the easiest way to do it in Nevada. Nevada does not make precinct locations public. They only make them available to registered voters. So you have to register to vote to do the easiest way of looking up your elected officials. So, you really should register to vote. But anyway, so this is my list of elected officials. Starting with, of course, these two jokers. I have an extension in my browser called Make America Kittens Again that replaces all pictures of Donald Trump with kitten pictures. So I can make kittens Trump again. Which is always unfortunate. So at the federal level, though, we do have, the president and vice president who are elected officials, and thank heavens their turn is up in 2020, and they will be up for re-election this fall. Though I really, 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 truly, truly hope that doesn't happen. Next step down, we have the United States Senate. The United States Senate is, remember that Senate terms last 6 years, and they are staggered. So we have, every state has a Senate year, a year off. A Senate election, a year off. In Nevada, this happens to be our year off. Catherine Cortez Masto, who is Nevada's first Latina senator, was elected in 2016. I didn't quite make it for that election, so she was elected in 2016, and that means she's up in 2022. Jackie Rosen, who was elected in 2018, is up in 2024. So we do not have a senator in this class. We will not be voting for Senate in this most upcoming election. But everyone in Nevada votes for these two folks. Senate elections are statewide. Next, we have our representatives in Congress. We have 4 congressional representatives here in Nevada. The reason that you only see 3 of them on this page is because this is Clark County elected officials. And yes, of the 4 congressional districts in Nevada, 3 of them have at least 85% of their constituents in Clark County. Actually, let me look at. I can show you guys the map of House districts. That's not a very good map. Hold on a sec. Here we go. Political district maps. Love them, love them, love them. So this is a map of congressional districts in Clark County, Nevada. Well, excuse me, in the metro area, in the Las Vegas Valley. So you can see that Nevada's first district is this yellow section in here, and includes most of central Las Vegas, including, so the boundary, if you're curious, the boundaries are Durango, Vegas, or Owens, depending on which side of town you're on, Hollywood, and it looks like Russell. So if you're within those streets, you're in Dina Titus's district, District 1, including, let's see, there's Charleston, there's Torrey Pines. Campus is right here. So Campus is very firmly in the first district. So districts 1, 3, and 4 all represent major parts of Clark County. Third district, as you saw on that map, is kind of west, south, Henderson, and then out to Laughlin is the third district. The fourth district actually represents pretty much half the state. So fourth district represents the rest of Clark County, and also like Lincoln County, Nye County, Esmeralda County, a whole large swath of mostly empty state of Nevada. Actually take a look at that. So you can see this is the fourth district here. Covers Lincoln, Nye, Esmeralda, Mineral, Lyon, and White Pine counties, as well as a large part of northern Clark County. You can see the third district does extend down to Laughlin and that little Cal Navari corner there. And then the second district, which is represented by Nevada's only Republican federal representative, Mark Amodei, is basically Reno, Carson City, Sparks, like this urbanized northern Nevada, and then, the northern wastes. But of course, there's more. Those are just the federal offices. We can now go to statewide offices. There are 6 statewide offices in the state of Nevada: governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, controller, and attorney general. Right now, 5 out of the 6 of those folks are Democrats, and they are all elected during midterm years. So they're elected during midterm congressional elections. So we elect our statewide offices the same time that we have midterm congressional elections. 2018 is the most recent one, so we will be voting for governor and etc. again in 2022. But until then, these are your statewide officers. Steve Sisolak is governor. Kate Marshall is lieutenant governor. The only Republican is Barbara Sagavsky, who did somehow narrowly win her race. She's Secretary of State. We have Treasurer Zach Koning, Controller Catherine Byrne, and Attorney General Aaron Ford, who was actually doing things that I'm pretty happy with. So that's statewide. Again, all people in Nevada vote for those folks. Then we have the state Senate. So there are 21 state senators. Of those 21 state Senate seats, 16 of them represent some part of the Las Vegas Valley. So you can see that, if I look over here, it'll tell me that I am in State Senate District 3, where we are represented by Chris Brooks. This guy was appointed to 2 years of a 4-year term and will be up for re-election in, let's see, in 2020. So we get to vote for state senate in my district this time around. That's cool. And so the third district here, you can see that's that blue one, and you can see campus is right in there. And then like I'm barely in the third district. I have actually a friend who lives in the apartment complex on the other side of Charleston, and he's in the 8th district, right? So then we have state assembly on top of that. State assembly, there are 42 state assembly districts, and let's see. "42 state assembly districts, 31 of them represent somewhere in Clark County." And so you can see we're in the 10th district here. I'm getting really good at recognizing that community college drive squiggle here on campus. So we're in the 10th district for state assembly, which does mean that our state assembly person is Rochelle Nguyen. And like all state assembly members, she will be up for re-election in 2020. We re-elect the state assembly every 2 years. So where's District 10? Rochelle Nguyen, she's a Democrat, and she is my Nevada State Assemblywoman. Right? But wait, there's more. See, there's quite a few assembly folks. We have, obviously, county level government as well. We have county commission districts, and so we can take a look at county commission districts. There are 7 members of the Clark County Commissions in districts lettered A through G. I happen to be in District F along with the Charleston campus. District F is represented by Susan Brager. What happened to Justin Jones? No, I was like, County Commission District F is represented by Justin Jones. He ran as the Red Rock guy, and I'm okay with that. I like me some Red Rock. So there's the county commissioner. Oh, but wait, there's still more. Because we have some county-wide offices as well. By the way, these are all elected in those midterm years as well when we do our governorship. Steve Wilson is our district attorney, and he is so in the pockets of the casino industry. Brianna Johnson is our assessor. Lynn Goya is our county clerk. Debbie Conway, our county recorder. Laura Fitzpatrick, our county treasurer. Robert Tellis, our public administrator. And I gotta say, I love having like that much girl power on the county government. But so all these folks are elected. Those elections, as I said, are during midterm congressional years. So their next one is going to be up in 2022. Then we have constables, which I just found out basically, I seriously just looked this up. But constables handle evictions and garnish your wages. So screw these guys, I guess, is what I'm saying. But there are various townships here in the Las Vegas metropolitan area, and constable is an elected position. So there is the Las Vegas Township, there is the North Las Vegas Township, there is the Henderson Township, and there is the Boulder City Township, and the Good Springs Township. And they all have elected constables who serve civil stuff for the justice court in the area. One of them is literally named Fat Jack Cochran. So go Fat Jack, constable of Searchlight Township. Then we get into the judiciary because, as I said, Nevada is one of those states that elects judges. Right? So there's 7 seats on the Nevada Supreme Court. There's 3 seats on the Nevada Court of Appeals. And then the district court, the Clark County District Court, has 54 2 judges. And all of those judges, by the way, are elected during presidential years. Let's see. No, excuse me. The Supreme Court is staggered. They do 2, 2, 3. The Court of Appeals judges are up every 2 years. Or excuse me. The Court of Appeals judges are every 6 years. So next time they will be midterm years, so that's 2022. And then the district court judges are elected during presidential years. So 2020, we will be voting for all 52 Clark County District Court judges. By the way, we have more than the rest of the state of Nevada combined. As you can see, some of those folks are in family court as well. But wait, there's more! Because we have educational offices here in Nevada as well. We have the State University region. These are folks that you might want to be aware of, because CSN is part of the state university system, the Nevada system of higher education. And so the regents of NSHE are elected positions. So you can look at State University regents, and you can see that we are in Region District 2, right there. 12, 13. So there are 10 of, I think there are a total of 14 regents on the board. So 10 of them represent here in Clark County. And so your regent in District 2 is this gentleman, Trevor Hayes. Where is he? Where are you, Trevor? Where are you, Trevor? There's Trevor. Trevor here represents you in all matters relating to your education at the Nevada System of Higher Education. So if you are having trouble at CSN, if you're having trouble with your education, that's the guy to contact. T. Hayes at nshe.nevada.edu, right? If you're having trouble with K-12 stuff, there is a state board of education and, of course, the Clark County School District Board of Trustees that are both also their own independent government entities. So you can see State Board of Education. I think there's only 5 people on the State Board of Education, and 3 of them are from the Las Vegas Valley. And we are in District 1, right there. So Robert Blakely is your State Board of Education person. So if you want to yell at somebody about how long it took them to close the schools in response to coronavirus, that guy would be a good choice. Looks like he is connected to the mining interests of things and the test range. Okay. Finally, Clark County School Districts. What to do? School districts are independent forms of government with their own elections, their own board, their own everything. So Clark County School District. You can see that we are in District E, which means that, who represents E? That is Lola Brooks. This is Lola Brooks. She's the president of the Clark County School Board of Trustees. She signs the CCSD checks, and she is our CCSD representative. So if you're having troubles with CCSD, if you have complaints about, say substitute teachers just not getting paid, which happened to me, or again, not closing the schools in time, these are people that you can contact, right? These are the people who have jurisdiction over your educational experience. But of course, I'm not done yet, right? Because actually none of this applies to Las Vegas. So actually I think I am done with the stuff that applies specifically to the metro area. Oh, except, yeah, we vote for sheriff. We do vote for sheriff. Talk about the office of Sheriff of Las Vegas, or Sheriff of Clark County, in a little more detail when we talk about Nevada. Oh, and we also vote for justices of the peace. Yeah, so these are all more judges that we vote for. They do staggered terms. Some of them are up in 2020, 2022, 2024. But expect to be voting for some of these folks as well. So we like justices of the peace. And with that, I am finally done. You should have gotten the impression after me talking about this for 20 minutes that your ballot this year is going to be very long. I mean, if you think the CVS receipts are long, wait until you see a Clark County ballot during a presidential year with all 52 of the judicial offices on it, right? Okay, so I spent 20 minutes telling you who represents you. Did any of you even know these people's names before I just did this? Most people don't even know the name of their House representative, and that was, or they're the member of the House, in this case, Dina Titus. And that was like 20 minutes ago. So think about how democratic our elections can be when people don't even know who they're voting for. People don't even know who represents them. Think how much effort it takes to make an informed voting decision for a lot of these down ballot offices. I gotta tell you, judicial elections are almost impossible to find information on because what the courts do is usually so far out of the public eye. It can be a real challenge, even if you are somebody like me who spends a lot of time researching and thinking about and writing about politics. It can be difficult to carry out your democratic responsibility to be a fully informed voter. Yeah, see? People saying absolutely not. I had no idea who these people were in chat because there's so damned many of them. So think how democratic our elections are if people can't meaningfully even understand who's representing them, let alone hold those people accountable. And that's all once you get into the voting booth, right? We have talked before in this class about barriers to voting. We have some of the highest barriers to voting in the democratic world. We have strong voter registration requirements. All 50 states do require their voters to register in some way or another. 8 states strictly require photo identification, so you need to show a driver's license to vote. And a lot of states make it deliberately difficult to register to vote. Not all. Some states make it easy. Nevada is fortunately one that makes it very easy. We've got automatic voter registration at the DMV now. That is going to cover pretty much everybody in Nevada. But if you're not registered, you can also go, again, to registertovotnv.gov. And you can register for Nevada elections right here. Of course, they do make it seem really, really scary if you're trying to do it. Only Nevada residents who are attempting to register on their own behalf may use this system. You're guilty of a Category E felony if you knowingly file... Whatever, right? They put that scary language on there because, again, you know, this is the Republican Secretary of State, and Republicans generally try and drive down turnout. There we go. So some states make it pretty easy to vote. Nevada makes it pretty easy to vote. We have opt-in registration. We have online registration. We do not have same-day registration. You can't register on the day. California has that now. Early voting in Nevada is extensive. Most of the rural counties now vote by mail, but we have extensive early voting in Nevada with precincts set up all over the valley. You can request a vote by mail ballot in Nevada if you want. Um, Note that you have to do it for every single election that you want to vote by mail. You can't just California used to have a check or has a checkbox where you can just click and go, I'm a vote by mail voter. Although actually in California they now do opt out vote by mail. So you're automatically voting by mail unless you tell them I don't want to vote by mail. Um, and the easiest explanation for why these voting rules differ state by state is simply that the majority party protects itself by adjusting voting rules. It is a truism of American politics that when turnout goes up, Democrats do better. When turnout goes down, Democrats do worse. So it is not at all surprising that we find that Democrats tend to make it easier to vote. Republicans tend to make it harder. And so in states with Democratic state governments, as we've had here in Nevada for at least the last 4 years, voting tends to get easier. In states with Republican state governments, like Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio and Florida and Georgia, voting tends to get harder. They've been closing voting precincts. They've been making registration more burdensome, all that. Why? Because it benefits Republicans if only the sorts of people who have an enormous amount of time and energy can go vote, right? And none of this even gets into the role that money plays in our elections. And make no mistake, it is a big one, right? The price tag for the 2016 presidential and congressional elections all put together was $6.5 billion with a B dollars, right? We spend enormous amounts of money on our elections. And because of that, public officials have to spend an enormous amount of time and energy on raising money. As you're going to see, that amount that we've been spending on elections has been growing over time. The 2018 midterms, actually every midterm since 2010, has cost more than the 2000 presidential election. So enormous amounts of money are floating around in our electoral system. And the consequence of that is that public officials have to spend an enormous amount of time raising money. It is a common complaint. If you ask people like freshman members of the House of Representatives, it's a common complaint that they say, I went to Washington, D.C. because I wanted to do the people's work, and I'm here in D.C. and I spend half of my time fundraising. Half of my time as a member of Congress is spent in a call room calling rich people for donations. And they have to actually go to a different room to do that. They can't do it from their office because that's using public resources for an election campaign. So they go, the parties set up like depressing cube farms for members of Congress to go sit in and dial for dollars. A lot of candidates say that that's the worst part of being a presidential or a congressional representative. Now, we have had some recent Supreme Court decisions that essentially worsen this whole situation. The free speech clause of the First Amendment, they rule, protect people who want to support candidates or causes. That if you want to donate to a candidate, you are allowed to do that. Your money is considered an act of political speech. And just like flag burning is an act of symbolic political speech, funding campaign ads for a candidate is now considered an act of political speech. They took away my chart. They took away my chart. I am upset about that. But if you look in your book, hold on, I'll get to that in a minute here. So there have been two big decisions, two big Supreme Court decisions that have really dramatically changed the way that our elections are run. Those are Citizens United versus FEC and McCutcheon versus FEC. And I want to start with Citizens United. Citizens United essentially says that as long as you are not donating directly to a campaign or a candidate, you can spend as much money as you want advocating for a particular candidate or a particular policy. So you can run TV ads that say, hey, I think Bernie Sanders is the best. As much as you want, as long as you don't actually call the Bernie Sanders campaign and say, hey, what do you think I should run in these ads? So they're technically not allowed to coordinate, right? That produces things that look like this. So you get the point. This is a 2.5 minute long video of Mitch McConnell looking senatorial, right? Glad handing voters. What is the point of all of this? What is the point of all of this essentially stock footage? Well, the point of it is that Mitch McConnell wants rich people to spend their own money advocating for his reelection. He also looks like a turtle. But he wants rich people to spend their money advocating for his reelection, and so he's giving outside groups, hey, look, here's a bunch of, cheery Americana that you can use in campaign ads to support my campaign. So they're not coordinating with the McConnell campaign, they're just going to their YouTube page, right? Anyone can do that, but we know what's going on here, right? I'm going to close that out because I don't want to look at that evil turtle anymore. So Citizens United allows wealthy people and wealthy corporations to prop up presidential campaigns, even if ordinary people don't seem to be all that interested. So what we originally thought, and as political scientists, when the Citizens United case went through, we thought it was going to be like big corporations spending their own money on elections. We thought that, Walmart would buy a bunch of political ads and be like, hey, Walmart is a major supporter of jobs in America, and we support the jobs candidate, Donald Trump, or whatever. We thought that was what's going to happen. That actually, for the most part, hasn't happened. Another chart that I don't have on my slides will show you that what has happened is billionaires buying presidential campaigns. Originally buying candidates, right? Sheldon Adelson almost single-handedly funded the Rick Santorum presidential run in 2016. But now they're also just buying themselves campaigns, like Michael Bloomberg or Tom Steyer, who are just like, you know what? I can spend as much of my own money as I want on ads, so I'm gonna, right? And thank God that those Bloomberg ads are not every other ad on YouTube or Hulu anymore. It was so bad for so long. But so, when money is free speech, wealthy individuals can buy outsized amounts of campaign activity, and poorer individuals don't get the same opportunity to do so. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end things on that note here, because it is getting to be, we're getting to 90 minutes in front of the computer, and I try not to make you do too much more than that. Really quickly, does anyone have any questions? Just, go ahead and type a question mark in the chat so that I know that you're writing something, and I'll hold if anyone has any questions. Doesn't look like anyone has anything to worry about. So I'm gonna say sayonara for this week. Stay safe out there. Hope everyone is keeping themselves sane during all of this, and I hope that I am at least a pleasant presence in your home during this crisis. We're gonna keep doing this whole poli sci 101 thing when we come back on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Future weeks, as I said, lectures are going to be Monday 10 a.m., Thursday 8 a.m. So next lecture is going to be Monday at 10 a.m. when we will continue our conversation about campaigns and elections. Well, I'm glad you thought it was fun. So stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Be conservative with the toilet paper, and I will see you guys all on Monday.